Welcome, TrueBuild members. Today's topic in our Dun Bradstreet series is the Dun Bradstreet PAYDEX. And what we're going to be covering in our video today is what is the Dun Bradstreet PAYDEX, how you can establish a perfect PAYDEX of 80, can your PAYDEX be over 80, what if your PAYDEX is less than 80, and finally, what the PAYDEX is not. So in the world of business credit, the PAYDEX score is the most well-known of all three business credit bureau scores. And a lot of people have the perception that when they have their PAYDEX of 80 established, that they've arrived when it comes to the business credit build and it's the end-all be-all. But that just is not the case. The Dun Bradstreet PAYDEX is absolutely necessary and integral to a business credit build, but it's just the foundation and starting point of your business credit journey. So let's talk about what is the Dun Bradstreet PAYDEX. Again, it is the first milestone of your business credit build, and it is a proprietary dollar-weighted score ranging from 1 to 100 that is an indicator of your business's past payment performance. It's calculated on trade experiences that are submitted to Dun & Bradstreet by different suppliers and vendors within their trade exchange. So how can you establish a PAYDEX? The first step is to make sure that your company has a DUNS number, which we went over in the beginning of the Dun & Bradstreet section of your membership. And to make sure that that information listed on your Dun & Bradstreet report is current and correct. The two main factors when it comes to reporting is the company name and the company address. And then from there, you're going to want to make purchases with at least 3 suppliers or vendors that are verified contributors to Dun & Bradstreet's trade exchange. And you're going to want to make at least 3 purchases of at least $50 to $100 with those vendors. And those are going to be the vendors that we have laid out in step 3, layer 1 of your membership with us. And then once those purchases are made, we wait. And once the payment experiences are in play, they will get reported to Dun & Bradstreet on a monthly basis. So depending on when you made the purchases and paid those bills, they will get reported with that vendor or supplier's reporting cycle to Dun & Bradstreet. That could usually be about 30 to 60 days until your PAYDEX score is generated. So can your PAYDEX be higher than 80? Now, a PAYDEX can technically go up to 100, but the PAYDEX score of 80 is what is considered a perfect PAYDEX score. And so what that means when you have a PAYDEX score of 80 is that you've paid at least 3 vendors, and paid those bills on time. Now, if you have a PAYDEX score that goes over 80, that typically means that a vendor or supplier reported that you paid your bills early or ahead of terms, we would say. And it is very, very rare that any vendors or suppliers ever report that you pay your bills early, even if you do. And so it's equally rare that we ever see a PAYDEX score over 80. I have seen a few, but again, very, very rare. The goal there is just, to at least get to the 80. Now, what does it mean if your PAYDEX is less than 80? That typically means that there is evidence of an account or accounts that are reporting past due or beyond terms, we would say. And so if that applies to you in your company, then we will be covering in our next sections how you can dispute that negative information off of your report to get your PAYDEX score back to an 80. Now, the absence of a PAYDEX score, maybe you have like dashes or a question mark where your score should be on your report, that just means that you don't have enough trade data to have established or generated your PAYDEX score yet. Now, what is a PAYDEX not? Again, having a PAYDEX score does not mean that you've arrived when it comes to building business credit. It is just that first milestone. And also, it is not analogous. I've heard it said by, different people on different YouTubes or whatever, that having your 80 PAYDEX score is analogous to having a 800 FICO score with your personal credit. It's just absolutely not the same thing. And so the PAYDEX score is only one aspect of your company's Dun & Bradstreet report. Creditors also take into consideration their ratings, the recommended dollar amounts, which is the credit limit that Dun & Bradstreet recommends that a creditor extends to your company based on the information contained in your report. And then they also take into consideration your firmographic information, which is your industry codes, your number of employees, any kind of like financial data if you've submitted that to Dun & Bradstreet. So just in closing, it is important to remember that a company can be brand new, have 3 trades reporting to their Dun & Bradstreet report. They will have an 80 PAYDEX score. You can take another company that's been in business over 50 years, has 100 plus trades on their Dun & Bradstreet report. They're going to have an 80 PAYDEX score. So these are 2 very different scenarios and a very good picture as to why a Dun & Bradstreet PAYDEX score isn't all that we're looking at when we're looking at even a Dun & Bradstreet report, let alone that there are 2 other business credit bureaus that creditors take into consideration as well. So that wraps up our talk today on your PAYDEX score with Dun & Bradstreet. I do hope that this was an informative video for you. And again, in our next section, we will be covering how you can update, merge, and dispute the information contained on your Dun & Bradstreet report. So thank you for watching today. Bye for now.